New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment. Inspire.
And now the good news. It is Friday, January the 9th, and we have some very good stories for you tonight. And Ruth, I hope something I covered tonight is going to bring some joy to your 93-year-old friend. So bless you for being here. Well, we're beginning with a wedding proposal, marriage proposal. So a man proposes marriage by editing himself into a Shrek wedding scene. Yeah, that's what he did. So a guy proposes to his fiancée by editing himself into the wedding scene of Shrek, a perfect way to totally surprise his girlfriend and honor their love for the movie. Carter Allen spent 5 hours adding a clip of himself seamlessly running down the aisle saying he's experienced true love too. While playing the edited film for her at home last month, he left the room during that scene. He this is so funny. He reappeared wearing the same suit he was wearing in the movie and got down on one knee to propose to Andressa De Silva. The young couple met 4 years ago on a class film set working on a project that Carter wrote. The 26-year-old American from Georgia was predominantly a writer-director at the Georgia Institute of Technology while she was an actress. And when I met her, I fell for her. And while editing the class film and listening to us mucking around in between takes, I fell for her all over again, he said. From then on, we've always helped each other out and spent evenings watching films together. I always knew I wanted to do something film-focused, but also something intimate. Carter initially thought about proposing to Andressa in a movie theater, but said it didn't feel right. You'd be proposing during a film you'd never seen before, and what if it was bad? Yeah, that wouldn't be great. Instead, inspiration came from her suggestion for their next movie night. I started thinking about films we both have a fond memory of, and funny enough, she suggested we actually put Shrek on one evening. They ended up watching something else, but it gave Carter his perfect plan. How's that for a very cool little proposal? I like that. Okay, so moving right along, we have an 80-year-old retired teacher, and she decided to hike the Appalachian Trail. Yeah, first female 80-year-old to complete it. She's the oldest one to complete it. How cool is that? So the obstacles and excuses kept blocking Betty Kellenberger's path, but she never stopped moving forward. Kellenberger, an 80-year-old retired school teacher from Carson City, Michigan, became interested in the Appalachian Trail in elementary school when she learned about it in a weekly reader. Betty immediately thought she wanted to hike it someday, but adult life and her work as a teacher obstructed her path for decades. Even for young people, hiking the entire Appalachian Trail is a grueling it's funny, you wash this thing and can't do a thing with it. A multi-month endeavor. The trail runs through 14 states from Maine to Georgia and is about 2,200 miles long, filled with rigorous climbs and rocky terrain and a whole host of environmental challenges. Finishing the entire thing is such a daunting task that many people only attempt to cover stretches of it at a time, but Betty wanted to do the whole thing. Way to go, girl. I remember thinking, she said, how long do you think you have to think about it? I'm pushing 80. Am I going to wait until I'm pushing 90? So yeah, it sort of pushed me into action, she said. She's researched the trail and made her first attempt in 2022 with a trail partner, Joe Cox. Unfortunately, Cox had a rough fall on Mount Katahdin, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, in Maine, and had to exit the trail a day later. Betty didn't make it much longer, leaving several days ahead afterward due to lingering effects from dehydration, Lyme disease, and a concussion. She tried again in 2023, starting at Harpers Ferry, Virginia, and heading north. Betty made it all the way to Massachusetts, but a bad fall forced her to abandon the adventure. This woman has got some chutzpah. She's pushing forward. Then she had knee replacement surgery and learned the sad news that her friend Cox had passed away. So she became determined to finish it anyway. See, now I'm getting all teary. She started at Harpers Ferry again in 2024. This time going southward. Unfortunately, in September, Mother Nature threw another curveball. Hurricane Helene had toppled trees, obstructing paths all over the south, making the Appalachian Trail so impassable in parts that officials made hikers an extraordinary offer during the cleanup. Leave now, and you can count your existing mileage on day one next year. Well, that's pretty cool. Typically, all through hikes have to be finished in 12 months to count as complete. So Betty had actually caught a break. What an amazing woman. She began training for her next shot at the trail by climbing steps every day at the local hospital because her Michigan surroundings were so flat. And when she headed again to the trail in March 2025, she only had the northern and southern routes remaining. She had hiked between Massachusetts and Virginia before the hurricane had hit. She finished the southern end first. Only the northern end remained, but the mountains of Maine and New Hampshire are notoriously difficult. So Betty wasn't sure she could do it until she met a man hiking in Pennsylvania who said something unforgettable. Hikers often call people like this trail angels, seemingly divine beings that show up in the darkest times and offer enough food, advice, or encouragement to keep people going. I was hiking alone and I just thought, if I have to do this alone, I'm not sure I can do it. And he says, well, you can quit and nobody will point fingers at you and blame you or anything. But you'll never know whether or not you could have done it. If you go and you take it on and you try, then you'll know. Why am I getting emotional over this one? Well, I'll have to wait till I'm 80 and then I can do it too. Maybe not. Well, there's a woman who is incredibly inspiring. So maybe, Ruth, for your friend, that might be an inspiring story. And you can find the full write-up on the Good News. Pardon me, goodnewsnetwork.org. All right, let's do one more story before we take a little commercial break. This one is just a tiny baby with hands smaller than a fingertip is now home after a year, a year long and developing normally. My voice is disappearing for some reason. A premature baby born so tiny his hand was smaller than his dad's fingertip is finally home and healthy after a year. Oh, dear. I'm having troubles here tonight. Gabriel Golden was born weighing 1 pound in September of 2024, and after just 22 weeks gestation. He endured nearly a year in the Vanderbilt at NICU in Nashville, Tennessee, battling chronic lung disease, multiple infections before his parents, Caroline and Gareth, were finally able to bring their son home 3 months ago. Little Gabriel still faces respiratory challenges, but is thriving developmentally. It was amazing that someone, even though his finger was so small, I could feel his grip. The strength those tiny fingers had left me speechless. Carolyn started hemorrhaging 14 weeks into the pregnancy, and for a harrowing 8 weeks, doctor warned that she could miscarry at any moment. But she didn't. She was able to get through it and have her baby, and they have somehow made this beautiful miracle baby alive and well. And check out that smile. Is that beautiful or what? I love it. Well, we're going to take a short little commercial break. I can get my throat fixed up here, and we'll be right back. Don't go away. More good news to come.
Are you passionate about media, storytelling, and making a difference? Welcome to New Thought Media Network. where your voice matters. We amplify diverse voices and share impactful stories. Join us in our mission. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to creativity and community, looking for enthusiastic volunteers who want to be part of something bigger. Learn, grow, and collaborate in various aspects of media production. Incredible support and camaraderie await you here. Your contributions will help us create powerful content that resonates with audiences and drives social change.
Ready to make a difference? Visit our website www.ntmedia.org to learn more about volunteer opportunities and how you can get involved.
Find our volunteer inquiry under the Engage tab on our website, or visit www.ntmedia.org/volunteer. We look forward to connecting with you soon.
Well, we're back with more good news. Well, this is a funny story. And I said to my producer a little while ago that I can't imagine looking so hard for anything. But this this woman, lost an heirloom ring, and a hospital technician lends his x-ray machine to help the woman find it. Yes, can you imagine? The radiology department at an Iowa hospital recently teamed up with the waste management team to put the care in healthcare and left a patient in tears with gratitude. At Grundy County Memorial Hospital, Susan Sinwell had arrived for a routine medical procedure. Preparing for a couple of x-rays, she took off a pair of heirloom rings left to her by her grandfather and wrapped them in a napkin to shield them from unfriendly eyes. What's out of sight is so often said tends to slip out of mind. And even though the napkin made a funny sound when it hit the garbage bin bottom, it didn't jar Sinwell's memory. Once she realized her mistake, she called the hospital administrative staff, and Craig Buscole, the imaging manager at the hospital who had taken Sinwell's x-rays, he decided that he would empty the compactor and faced a mound with some 60 garbage bags that they had to pass over with metal detectors. Any beeping bags were separated and placed in the ambulance garage where Buscole waited for his mobile x-ray machine. It was really rewarding. He said, honestly, I didn't think we were going to find them, but we did. Before they did, they had spent 45 minutes taking images. But as Buscole would go on to say, he eventually struck gold, as it were. Hospital staff said that the care they give their patients goes far beyond just medical services, and looking for lost rings is certainly included in that. Well, bravo to you for taking the time to care enough to help this woman find her rings. So, so sweet, so sweet. Well, here's an interesting one. I enjoyed going to school, but I'm not so sure I could do this. A teacher sets a world record after 61 years at the same school. Yes, a beloved educator's lifelong dedication has officially made history. Westmoreland High School in Tennessee has announced that Ms. Glenda Aiken has been awarded a Guinness World Record for the longest career as a female teacher at the same school, an incredible 61 years and 43 days of service. Look at that smile. Now 84 years old, Aiken spent more than 6 decades shaping young minds, first as a teacher, and then later as the school's librarian. Generations of students passed through her classroom, many of whom credit her steady presence and passion for learning as a lasting influence in their lives. According to CBC Radio, Aiken said she truly loved her work and never dreaded the school day. I loved my job. I didn't mind getting up and going to school every day, she said. Over the years, the school became more than just a workplace. It became home. Aiken explained that as her family members passed away, the school community stepped in to fill the space. In her words, they more or less became my family. How beautiful is that? I think everybody should love the work they do and the people they work with. And I know it's not always the case, but I'll tell you, if you do work that you love, you will never actually work a day in your life. Everything will be joy. So bravo to her. That's beautiful. Well, two teenagers took on New York City's housing challenge and built a solution. Two 17-year-old friends are helping people find affordable housing in New York City. Now, that's not a very easy task. Beckett Zahedi and Derek Webster Jr. have created a website called Realtor Estate, a platform designed to help renters more easily find affordable and rent stabilized apartments in a city where housing costs are often out of reach. Their goal is simple but powerful: make hard to find housing option more accessible to everyday New Yorkers. According to the original news report, the project has become an all consuming passion for the teens. Out of school, they poured their time and energy into building the site, even giving up basketball and spending their last 2 summers working on it. Realtor Estate brings together public data and real estate listings, allowing users to quickly identify rent stabilized apartments and units priced below market value. What is typically a confusing and time consuming process for renters is streamlined into one easy to use platform. The idea for Realtor Estate grew from personal experience. Zahedi said that seeing how difficult it was for his father to find an affordable apartment after his parents' divorce opened his eyes to how serious the housing crisis is. That understanding deepened in 11th grade economics class, where both teens learned about the scale of the problem. While they acknowledge their site is just a small step towards solving a much larger issue, the teens remain focused on making a real difference, one renter at a time. Beautiful. I'll tell you. You know, when I look at the world today, sometimes we go, oh, everything's so bad, so terrible, blah, blah, blah. You know what? There's really great people in our world, really great people in our world, a lot more great people than otherwise. So these two kids are just one part of that. Well, here's another interesting teenager. I love stories about teenagers. This teen runs his own restaurant alone. Yes. So, Ruth, this might be the story you're looking for. Most 18-year-olds are, thinking about school, friends, or their first job. This young entrepreneur, he's running a restaurant all by himself. At just 18 years old, Dylan Larson became the owner of his own restaurant, where he also happens to be the only employee. That means he does everything. I do all the cooking, serving, accounting, taxes, sharing that owning a restaurant has been his dream since he was a young child. Because the kitchen is small and he works alone, customers often face a long wait for their meals, but that hasn't stopped people from lining up. In fact, many are happy to wait just for the chance to eat his food and support his dream. How beautiful is that? As impressive as his work ethic is, it's only part of the story. At home, the teen has faced challenges far beyond running a business. He lives with Tourette's syndrome, a condition that has made life more difficult at times. While treatment and doctors have helped somewhat, his family says nothing helps him more than being in the kitchen. Cooking, it turns out, is more than a job. It's therapy, purpose, and passion all rolled into one. And even with his packed schedule, he still finds time to give back, helping others whenever he can. His mother couldn't hide her emotion when talking, there you go again, about her son's journey. To watch him do all this and give back to the people that gave to us, I couldn't be more proud, she said. I'll tell you, I'm a mom too, and I'll tell you, I would be very proud if one of my children was doing something like this. That is incredible. Don't get me wrong, my kids are doing good stuff, but I love this story. All righty, here we go. So, First Nation, they've come up with a prefabricated housing system from locally sourced wood. So, new innovation. Prefabricated housing holds the potential to erect both economic opportunities and affordable housing in Canada's far northwest, the tribal leaders believe. Using low quality timber sourced locally, a First Nation located near Fort St. James in British Columbia are creating mass timber panels that can be quickly assembled into a standard building. I can't pronounce these Indigenous words, but this development corporation teamed up with the University of Northern British Columbia's Wood Innovation Research Lab and Deadwood Innovations, a lumber industry player looking to turn low quality, low impact wood into high quality beams and panels. This includes inputs like aspen trees, which grow in colonies and don't need to be replanted, but which wouldn't typically be used in logging. Mass timber is a wood engineering technique that involves gluing, heating, and compressing multiple small boards of wood together to create stronger, larger forms. They've proven to be a transformative innovation in timber construction, and it creates the chance for a secondary industry to be spawned from tribal forestry. This house means security not only in housing, but in economics and community longevity, said the member of the First Nation, Elkie Taylor. We have limited economics in Fort St. James, and to create a secondary industry with our timber is something that's been a long time coming, and we're hoping to see success in this pilot project. The house is an upright timber construction featuring an open concept living room, kitchen on the ground floor, and 3 bedrooms in a loft arrangement on the second floor. Project team leaders spoke with CBC News and said that a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home could be fully assembled in just 10 days. Wow, that sounds like innovation. I'm impressed. All right, anybody worried about getting old? Anti-aging drug regrows knee cartilage in major breakthrough that could end knee replacements. Well, that could make a lot of people really happy. An injection that blocks the activity of a protein involved in aging reverses naturally occurring cartilage loss in the knee joints of old mice. The treatment also prevented the development of arthritis after knee injuries, such as ACL tears, often experienced by athletes or recreational exercisers. An oral version of the treatment is already in clinical trials with the goal of treating age-related muscle weakness. Samples of human tissue from knee replacement surgeries in the joint also responded to the treatment by making new functional cartilage, a result which suggests that in the future, knee and hip replacement may be totally unnecessary. The treatment directly targets the cause of osteoarthritis, a degenerative joint disease that affects 1 in every 5 adults in the United States and is estimated to cost about $65 billion in direct health care costs each year. Prevention or a replacement is the only strategy society-wide, as no drug can slow down or reverse the disease. I would have loved to have had that around a few years ago when I had my hip replacements, but for the next group of people coming up, this could be really, really good news. Okay, so I've been reading some books recently about some animal conservation reserves in South Africa, and what's happening with the rhinos and the elephants is really something. So 0 rhinos have been poached in India's stronghold for the 2nd year on record. This is good news and kind of surprising given what's happening in Africa. India's rhino stronghold of Assam reported 0 deaths due to poaching among its population of greater one-horned rhinos in 2025. The success replicates that seen in 2023, another year in which poachers claimed no rhinos. The chief minister of the state of Assam, akin to the U.S. governor, said it was a proud moment for us, but added that other inspiring wildlife reports emerged in 2025. This including the sighting of a dhole, an Indian wild dog, the first in the state's national park in 35 years. In Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book, it was the dhole, not the tiger, that was most feared by the animals of India. In addition to the dogs, a lighter tiger known as a golden tabby tiger was spotted in the park. India is now home to some 4,000 rhinos, having once fallen to a low of 1,800. Almost all of these are located in Assam, but efforts to reintroduce the animal to areas they once inhabited has had mixed bad results. Native to the subcontinent, they would have lived as far west as Pakistan. And in reading some of the things, the rhino horn is made of the same stuff as our fingernails. And yet, for some reason, poachers will go in and take those horns and sell them for a lot of money. So we need to put a stop to that for sure. All right, hero of the night. So a father saves 10 from a bar fire at a Swiss New Year's party after a frantic call from his daughter. Out of the fire that claimed over 40 young lives in Switzerland on New Year's Eve comes a story of heroism and coincidence that allowed an Italian-Swiss farmer to help rescue 10 of the youth trapped inside the underground venue. In the Swiss town of Crans-Montana, sparklers or similar items are believed to have ignited the ceiling of La Constellation Bar, where over 150 young adults were celebrating the new year. Paulina Campola, a student in Geneva, who was home with her boyfriend to visit her family, might have been among that crowd, if not for a stopover at the home of her father, Paolo, to say hello, toast together, and open the panettone. Paulina's boyfriend was waiting for her at La Constellation, and it was her late arrival that saved both her life and that of her boyfriend. It was our fault she was late. She would have been at the club already at midnight, Campola said from his hospital bed. Today, I can say it without exaggeration. That delay saved her life. At 1:20 a.m., as Paulina was going to meet her boyfriend, she called her father, having seen flames rising from the building. Located not far from the upscale bar, Paulo rushed there with his own fire extinguisher. Searching the exterior, he and a stranger eventually found an exit, but it was blocked or locked from the inside. I forced my way in, and that's how I managed to save 10 young people. I'll tell you, some of what we saw through the windows, well, I don't even want to go into the horror of that, but the idea is that when we are late for something, sometimes we get really upset about that. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be late. But sometimes being late is the right and perfect thing in that moment. And so I just want to say for this new year, 2026, that all of us take a moment to remember who we are and that we're part of a much bigger energy field, right? We're all one, we're all connected. And if we can begin to really have compassion and kindness for ourselves and then for all of those around us, we begin to create a world that is far more harmonious and peaceful than maybe we ever thought possible. You see, each one of us does make a difference. The power of one. It only takes one person. And that one girl being late saved 10 lives. We never know how things are going to work out or where they're going to take us or what's going to happen. But I'm here to tell you that life is a journey without a destination. And it's so important for each and every one of us to just step up and find some love in our hearts, some joy in our experience, and a willingness to see the beauty in each other. Thank you so much for watching the good news here tonight. You're on the New Thought Media Network. We're here every Friday night doing the same thing, 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Eastern. And by the way, there is programming going on all week long. There's a radio station. There's all sorts of upbeat stuff happening. Check it out. This is a great place to spend your day. Thank you for watching. This is New Thought Media Network signing off for tonight. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you feel up to it, sending a donation our way is also a very appreciated and loved thing as well. Many blessings for 2026, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a wonderful time.